Cobra Kai Season 5 Theories. Cobra Kai never dies, and today we're going to be theorizing about where the series may be heading. The Cobra Kai series is known for having plenty of characters and intertwined stories, so we will see how this may fit in Season 5. For those of you who still haven't seen the series, spoiler alert ahead. After Cobra Kai Season 4 finale, we may feel like the series has used most of its narrative ammunition and will now have a hard time surprising and impressing us. But that's not necessarily the case, as the series just got even bigger. The season finale was great, and it closed the story arc that began in Season 1. But how could the series grow from here? In order to understand what could happen, let's go through the list of everything we know. Cobra Kai is still alive, now led by Terry Silver, who will use his money to make the dojo spread like wildfire all over the valley and beyond. Kreese was arrested, and he is experiencing a slight change of heart. Stingray is the one who framed Kreese, and will probably be accepted again into Cobra Kai. Tori knows that her victory was fake, or at least tainted. Kenny has now gone dark, with a vengeance agenda against Anthony LaRusso. The Miyagi-Dos had a good victory with Ellie, but a devastating defeat with Sam. And to add insult to injury, her defeat meant that Cobra Kai survived. Anthony LaRusso now knows that he is a target after Kenny told him that he will make his life miserable next year at school. Miguel has left for Mexico to find a father who is very dangerous and doesn't know that Miguel was even born. Johnny promised to find Miguel, whatever the cost. Robby and Johnny mended their relationship after the conversation they had in the dojo. The most important characters have their own things to do now that they have finished high school. First of all, we can deduce that from here on, the series will expand, becoming less about what happens in Alt Valley and more about the characters and their endeavors. Of course, we will see more Cobra Kai and how they grow their franchise all over the region, but instead of focusing on only one type of conflict, it will be more about the life and purpose of several characters, like how Johnny will look for Miguel, or how Daniel and now Chosen will try to stop Cobra Kai by cutting the snake's head, which would be Silver, and either Mike Barnes or a new character. If this is how things will go, there will be a lot fewer flashbacks and passive moments, and a lot more active events happening one after the other. So let's see what could happen with some of these characters. In Kreese's case, it seems that he will be in prison for a long time, but this is not set in stone as all sorts of things could happen. He could go free on a technicality because Stingray doesn't have much credibility, being a guy who was on probation for assaulting kids at school, and the one who beat his neighbor up over a party. There is also the unlikely but still possible chance that Silver was being recorded by the security cameras he had installed in the dojo, as seen in episode 8, where Silver sees when Johnny arrives at the dojo and picks up the phone. If Silver, in his drunken days, somehow forgot to delete the feed, or was somehow hacked, some websites do show hacked camera feeds from pretty much anywhere, the truth could be known, and this can even be used against him later. As for Stingray going back to Cobra Kai, it can happen. If it does, it will not be as a normal student. He will most likely become Silver's lackey for a short time before he changes his mind for some reason or another. You see, Stingray is not a bad guy, he is just misguided, and it is very unlikely that he will go full villain anytime soon. Speaking about going full villain, we have Kenny, who is now a full-fledged Cobra. He suffered from bullying throughout this past season, but now he will be the one doing the bullying, as he is going to terrorize Anthony. With Daniel busy fighting Cobra Kai with the help of Chosen, who will then teach Anthony how to defend himself. After all, he lost his chance to begin his training because of his laziness and spoiled attitude. So even if he starts training at the beginning of the 5th season, he will still take some beatings before he can fight back. This is inevitable, unless he trains off camera and starts off Season 5 at least knowing how to throw a punch, which is very unlikely. Another thing that seems inevitable is Johnny traveling to Mexico to search for Miguel. This will take him far away from all the drama that happens in Alt Valley. But this doesn't mean that we will not see any action, as his story will most likely become similar to one of those action movies from the 1980s, with Sensei Lawrence beating up everyone who stands between him and Miguel. We also know for a fact that based on an article published by El Nuevo Dia, a Puerto Rican newspaper, the Cobra Kai series production group was filming part of Season 5 in Puerto Rico for 6 days, investing more than $1 million, creating 155 jobs, and renting about 260 hotel nights. Why is this important? While in several other productions, the island of Puerto Rico has been used to film scenes that are meant to be based in other countries, like Cuba and Brazil, most likely because it's easier to go to a nearby US territory that looks somewhat similar to the intended location than to go to the real place instead. So Puerto Rico became Mexico for a short while. The interesting thing here is that the only actors who came to shoot some scenes on the island were William Sepka, Zolo Maridueña, and Tamer Buckingham, which means that Johnny does go to Mexico to search for Miguel, and most likely he brings Robby with him. Another interesting story arc that may surprise us is Tori's. She must be feeling that her victory in the tournament didn't count because Silver was bribing the referee, so now she's back where she started. If Tori still has a job, then she can lay low for a while until something happens that pulls her back to the light side or further down the dark path. Knowing that this series has no mercy on our expectations, it would be a very clever surprise to see her go deep into darkness, only to find out that Silver wasn't bribing the ref, but doing another kind of deal, and that she misunderstood it entirely. As for the other important characters, we know that each of them has their own thing now that they have graduated high school, so some of them might not be coming back in the next season. They are in college now, while the real smart ones are, like Eli, Sam, and Dimitri. As cool as it would have the Miyagi-Dos continue their dojo as it was, it would be quite unrealistic considering that most of them are young adults now, and have things to do other than going to school and beating up bullies. Regardless of what happens, some of these characters can join up in the final episodes and attempt to bring Silver down. Johnny comes back with Miguel and teams up with Robby and Kreese after he is out of prison. Tori dealing with her conflicting feelings, and maybe some of the Miyagi-Do's members will come back in the final confrontation. The most intriguing question about such a scenario is what will Kreese do, because his arc is starting to take the shape of a redemption story, just like what happened with Hawk. However, this doesn't mean that he has forfeited his ambitions. It would even be crazier if this coalition defeats Silver and make Cobra Kai, now back with Kreese, join the others against an even bigger threat. So what are your thoughts about what could happen in Cobra Kai Season 5? Do you think that most of the characters will join forces against Silver, or will the series find ways to keep everyone apart?